Hello and welcome to the debate podcast starring Callan Morey. To another special, the second special of Cars, and I have Isaac with me again. You already know about Isaac if you've
Hello.
Hi. You already know about Isaac if you've watched the first special episode. But if you haven't, his name is Isaac. He just said hello, so Isaac, hi. uh, Today, or this episode, we are going to be talking about the three main German auto groups. We have Daimler, we have BMW Auto Group, and Volkswagen Auto Group. Now they're what's called a parent company. So let me go through each of them. For Daimler, they're the parent company for Mercedes, Mercedes AMG, Mercedes EQ, Maybach, which is Mercedes' ultra luxury stuff, and smart cars. They're smart. BMW Auto Group contains BMW, Mini, as in like Mini Cooper, and Rolls-Royce, believe it or not. And Volkswagen Auto Group, get ready, there's a lot of them. They contain Volkswagen, they contain Porsche, they contain Lamborghini, Audi. What ones am I missing?
Bugatti,
Right?
if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think you're correct about Bugatti. Basically, they own most of the German brands. And those are the three ones we're going to be talking about. So, I know I hate to say it, but Volkswagen, they're probably the biggest of the three parent companies. But I hate to say it because Lamborghini is part of a Volkswagen. Their brand has a bad reputation, mainly because a while back they had lied about their fuel consumption and fuel emissions ratings. Where now, if they publicly post something about a car, then they have to prove their fuel testings, and they got sued a bunch. And the guy who was the founder, the CEO at the time, is now in Florida State Prison. I don't know why he's in Florida, or state prison in Florida, but he is. Anyways, so they basically got sued a bunch of money, and now anyone in the Volkswagen Auto Group has to post it, which is sad because Lamborghini is a part of Volkswagen, and that continues with the bad reputation. But most people don't know that. Most people didn't know that Lamborghini, Bugatti, they're all part of the group, Volkswagen. So, yeah. So for Daimler, you have Mercedes AMG, and the difference between Mercedes AMG and Mercedes AMG is an AMG specific brand. So there aren't any normal Mercedes on there. They're just AMG. Now you have Mercedes Benzes, which can have AMG trims, but they aren't the AMG brand. So, for instance, you have the Mercedes AMG GT. Now that is Mercedes AMG's supercar, and that is not a part of Mercedes Benz. It's a part of Mercedes AMG, and that has nice. Go ahead.
So to specify the difference, AMG at first was, I believe, its own company, and then it paired with Mercedes to, they would specially like hand build the engines for the Mercedes AMGs. So it used to be you would get this plaque on your AMG, on the manifold cover of your AMG motor. You'd get this plaque with the name of the person who built it. Whereas now they're switching more to factory produced stuff rather than hand built. Also with AMG, you get the AMG engine, but sometimes you get the aero kits and stuff like that too.
Right.
So
and Sorry.
That's kind of the difference between Mercedes Benz and Mercedes AMG.
Now I looked it up. What Mercedes AMG, what AMG stands for. And I can't pronounce it. Uh, it is a little hard to pronounce. So you have Mercedes right here, right? I'm gonna try. I don't know how to pronounce that. Aufrecht Melcher Grasbach. I tried. But as you can see through whoever it was, they have a new CEO since of August 1, 2020. So that's fun. But it was founded in June of 1967. Anyways, it's basically it's different than Mercedes. It's its own company, and I think they still do hand build their engines for Mercedes AMG. I think they're factory built for Mercedes Benz. And then also in Daimler smart cars, and they aren't sold in the United States anymore. They used to, and they had the Smart 4.2, which is a two-seater, very small car, and it was not very safe because it was so small that there was no impact zones for the car, which was funny.
Yeah, you used to. There's still memes out on the internet. I know. I don't know if this is like weird territory bringing it into memes. But there's like the pictures of the smart cars where it says like I hit a deer today and has a picture of a smart car that look like the front end is completely wrecked. And it says the deer laughed and walked away. I also saw a funny video. It was a smart car review by a YouTuber, Car Wizard. And so he's like a bigger guy. And it was very funny because the car was so small. And he was like trying to show you around the car, and there was really no room to show you around the car with somebody sitting in the car. So that was something else I found interesting, that like you'd have to be very, very small to like
Fit in a
comfortably
smart
fit in
car.
that car.
Yeah. Now there was rumor at one point Shaquille O'Neal had a smart car. Now I'm not sure. Actually, I think there was a video of him stepping out of it, and people asked him, well, out of all the cars, why a smart car? He said, well, it's reliable, it's practical. No, I'm not so sure about the practical part, or the reliable part.
How much it's practical for, especially if you're that tall.
Right. If you're that big of a person, is it really that practical? I'm just confused on that part. Anyways, we're gonna move on to BMW. Now BMW Auto Group contains BMW, Mini, and Rolls Royce. Oh, I forgot to mention Daimler, or not Daimler. Never mind. Volkswagen also contains Bentley. I forgot to mention that earlier. Anyways, BMW Auto Group contains BMW, Mini, and Rolls Royce. Now, BMWs, they don't really have any special performance brand. I mean, they have a brand. It's the M brand, which I'm not sure what that stands for. I'm searching new things. I'm finding things out today.
I don't believe it's a separate brand. I believe it's a performance package that you can get on certain models of their car. Kind of like iDrive. When you see that on the back of the BMW, it just means it has the iDrive system. The
mean
M
xDrive,
on the back
right?
of the car just has the performance.
I think you mean xDrive, because it'd be a little weird if their all-wheel drive system's xDrive or S-Drive. They'll do that, and then they'll have
like their computer stuff.
Yeah, that's their infotainment system. So
Yeah.
BMW's performance department is just known as motorsport. That's just all it stands for. So it's nothing really special. Um, Anyways, they have M1. Actually, no, sorry. Excuse me. They do actually have an M135i, or I think it's a different number now because it's a newer year, but they don't sell it in the United States because of just demands. Uh, United States people aren't that small, so they don't need that small of a car, and they don't have the 1 Series in the United States. They do have the 2 Series, however. Now, the 2 Series, that is a coupe. It's a small coupe. And the 2 Series, compared to the M2, they're completely different looking. Mainly because the 2 Series have just recently been redesigned, and they just focused on the M2 first, releasing that. And then later they're going to release the 2 Series, just normal 2 Series. But they have the M2, and then they also have what's called a competition package, which adds a few more horsepower and more competition track focused upgrades. And then after that, they have the 3 Series. And that. Now, BMW has grills that are controversial. They just seem to keep growing. And there's been a lot of memes about that, where it's like BMW 2023, and it's like the whole front end is a grill. Like just all of it is a grill. There's
Yeah,
no body
there's been a
parts.
lot of controversy. There's been a lot of controversy over that, just because of the traditional BMW look, which is the two small kidney grills, and then the you have the two small kidney grills and then some separate grills off to the side. Whereas now they're just like getting bigger and bigger, and my preference is that it does not. Well, my opinion is that it does not look as good. When you have these giant blobs on the front of your car, when it looks like contained kidney grill, like classic BMW, then it's all cool. But when you get like out of control, large, whatever it is on the front of the car, it's not
Grills,
even
yeah.
kidney grill anymore. It's like
It
bigger than a kidney.
I okay. So with the 3 Series, just a normal 3 Series, they have the kind of they're bigger than the classic BMW ones, but they're not excessive like the new M4, which you can see here is these grills. Look at that. That's wow. Those look like. Now I have to say, I hate to say it,
Looks like it's
but
yawning at me.
I I have to I hate to say it, but
I'm sorry, I had to say it.
I know,
It's
I
like it's
know.
it's like its jaw dropped. Like it had the kidney grills, and then something surprised it, and it went, "What?" Its jaw just dropped, and the kidneys went with it.
um, I I hate to say it, but it's kind of growing on me. The grill is, um, and Isaac, you're probably gonna hate me for it, but it is kind of growing on me. But this isn't. This is kind of basically what the 3 Series or the M3 front end looks like. But even though this is a four M4, um, even the new 4 Series, just the 4 Series alone, not the M, is even has that grill. Then we move on to the 5 Series. That is a little more contained. They don't have that large whole kidney little woodchuck grill. They have it's more of a contained like
Beaver teeth.
it's more of a contained look, where it's kind of like
Yeah,
just the normal 3 Series, but it's bigger and it's got a twin turbo V8. So, and then after that is the 6 Series, and that it continues on with the same M5 or 5 Series front grille look, and then you have the 7 Series, which it's a bigger one, but it's a bigger car, so it fits, right? And
yeah,
then you have the 8 Series, which is like a Grand Coupe thing, and that's just kind of like the coupe version of the 7 Series. So basically, actually, the 2 Series alone is a coupe version of the 1 Series. The 4 Series is a coupe version of the 3 Series. The 6 Series is a coupe version of the 5 Series, and so on. So the base model engine for the 8 Series, I think, is a inline 6, which BMW's famous inline 6, which sounds so good. But then you can get the M version, and you can just get so much more out of it, out of a twin turbo V8, which it sounds so good. Obviously, because I love German car sounds. They sound good. It's well designed, except for the grills. Except that the grill's kind of growing on me. I wouldn't mind buying it. Like, that wouldn't be my first choice, but it wouldn't be my last.
No, I don't know how it could be growing on you.
Well, it's just getting so big that it's just kind of started to physically grow on. I'm kidding. Anyways, then they have the X1, the X2, the X3, X4, X5, and X7, and soon the X8. Now, they do have electric cars, the i4, the XI, the i8, the i3, and the i4 and the XI are relatively new ones. They just came out either this year or last year. I can't remember. They're relatively new, and they're the electric cars that BMW has. But anyways, the SUVs, all the SUVs except for the 7 Series has an M version. The 7 Series does have an M50i, which is almost an M version, but it's not really an M. But yeah, and it's kind of the same with. Let me show you a picture of. Let's do the X6. It's BMW makes coupe SUVs, and those are SUVs with really sloped roofs. As you can see, oops, I didn't show you it. Let me show you it. Right here. You can see it's just kind of it's a sloped roof design, but it's based off of the X5. No, it's kind of like the same thing, but the X1 is actually an SUV. They actually have an X1, and they sell it in the United States. It's not very common whatsoever, but it still exists. And then the X2 is like a coupe version of the X1, and it's just kind of so forth. X3 is a normal SUV. X4 is a coupe version of the X3. X6 is a coupe version of the X5. And there's actually going to be, BMW announced it, there's going to be an X8. That's their 8th SUV. Can you believe that? 8 SUVs? I think that's kind of insane. Because, you look at Honda, for instance. They have, what, 3? The Honda Passport, the Honda Pilot, and CR-V. Right? No, well, they also have the HR-V. That's 4. Either way, BMW has double the amount of SUVs that Honda has, which is insane. That's kind of insane because Honda is one of the biggest car manufacturers in the world. BMW's up there too, but Honda's probably bigger because they're more affordable and more common. But the X8, that's going to be competing with the Bentley Bentayga and the Lamborghini Urus. Now, those are 2 big names, but they're also part of the Volkswagen Auto Group, which we're going to move on into a little bit, but we're going to talk about Mini and Rolls-Royce. Now, Mini creates the Mini Cooper. I don't really know much about Mini because it's just a small car brand. Virtually nobody buys them anymore. It's just kind of a slowly dying car brand. Now, the origins of it, before it was owned by BMW, it was British. Same with Rolls-Royce. It was British. Rolls-Royce is a British luxury.
I
but
believe it used to be Austin Mini. So it used to be owned by the British car manufacturer Austin, and then it was a separate company branching off. I think that's
I,
what it was.
I think it. Yeah, and then they left, went on their own. And then BMW bought them. Uh, Either way, they're both based originally in Britain, but BMW was originally German and still is German because they're all German car manufacturing brands and auto groups. So there's many. I don't really know much about them, but Rolls Royce. Now they have the coolest. I have to say the coolest ever cars. Um, if you just look at them, they look like a boat. They basically are. They're massive.
Land
Uh,
yacht
they
of
have,
the 21st century.
yeah. I
So
mean, if you compare, I think it was the Rolls Royce Ghost. I want to say, um, I don't know, but it was one of the Rolls Royces, not the SUV, but the car. It was a coupe. It was a 2-door. It was longer than a Cadillac Escalade.
yeah,
That just puts in. That's how big it was. Like that's big. uh,
yeah. Quick Rolls Royce hack. So if your Rolls Royce is broken and you're trying to fix it, because BMW owns Rolls Royce technically, then a lot of the Rolls Royce parts are also used in BMWs.
right.
So you can, instead of buying the parts with the Rolls Royce name on them, you can buy the BMW parts for cheaper.
But if you have a Rolls Royce, would you really care about buying cheaper parts?
I don't know. I'm just saying.
I mean, Rolls Royces are expensive,
So then
and
are we assuming that you spent most of your money on your Rolls Royce and need to save money on parts?
or you're just really rich, and
Yeah,
you can buy 8 Rolls Royces each week. Let's say that. Now, if you're smart with your money, you're not going to buy 8
that's
Rolls
like
Royces.
spending like millions of dollars every week.
Well, yeah. I mean, Elon Musk is now worth over $300 billion.
Okay.
That he could probably afford that. Except he'd have a Tesla
Okay.
because it's Tesla, which he owns the thing. Anyways, Rolls Royce, but they have coupes, sedans they're basically boats. They're considered boats. They have cool starlight headliners. They have doors that are rear hinged that open like I can't you can't see me, but I'm doing like a little motion. They're rear hinged, so they open the opposite way that a regular car door does, and it's just a cool car company overall. They also have an SUV, which is the Rolls Royce Cullinan, uh, and that has a V12. What other SUV do you know has a V12?
None that I can think of off the top of my head, but there probably are some.
Well, the old Bentley Bentayga used to have a W12, which is like two V6s put together.
Yeah.
Um, but then they moved on to a twin turbo
Okay.
V8 because Volkswagen got sued and their emissions sucked and all that. And
Yeah.
we're gonna go on to Volkswagen actually right now because we're trying to keep it under 30 minutes and we're at like 25 minutes. So
Okay, quick before we go to Volkswagen, just a fun fact about Rolls-Royce. You can actually customize the star headliners. So you can tell them where you want the holes to be. So like you can pay extra money so that your star headliners can be in certain patterns that might mean something to you or might not.
wow, I never knew that. That's actually pretty cool. You know, if I ever get a Rolls Royce, I'm gonna remember that. I don't think I'm gonna get a Rolls Royce, but if I ever do, I'm gonna remember that.
If you turn out very successful.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Anyway, I could if I get a car, I could do that no matter what. I could just poke holes in the roof, and I could just poke holes in the roof, and
Yeah,
when it's nighttime, then there are no stars. But when it's daytime, there are stars. So yeah, that would work.
yeah. Anyway,
Anyways,
let's go on to Volkswagen.
no, Isaac, how much do you know about the Volkswagen Auto Group?
Um, I know that I don't have extensive knowledge as some other people probably do. I know some about certain Volkswagen cars. I know some about certain Porsches or Porsches, however you would like to pronounce it. And I also know that Bugatti and Lamborghini are also owned by Volkswagen. Um, so
Also, one more
that's about
thing.
as far as my extent goes
One more
in the way of
thing.
knowledge.
Sorry. One more thing. About these car brands. If you're trying to pronounce them correctly, um, right now Porsche is actually technically the correct pronunciation, but all the other car brands that we have named um, have been the correct pronunciation. Like for example, Daimler. There's been a lot of controversy of what it's supposed to be called, but it actually is Maybach, not Maybach or Maybach, but it's Maybach. So for those of you who don't know or
Yeah.
care, I don't think really many people
For
care
those
about the
of you who care,
pronunciations. Uh,
who care about
anyways,
Maybach in general.
yeah, well, the people that buy them, I mean, well, they're nice. They're really nice.
Yeah.
Rich people have them. I mean, you know what? They're not as
Okay.
expensive as Rolls Royces, which are hundreds of thousands of dollars. Over 100. They're way beyond hundreds of thousands of dollars. Not millions, but you know. And my bikes are just over 100,000. Can get into the 200,000 range. Um, but they're very nice cars, and they're
Mm-hmm.
basically it's kind of like a different brand because they have a different logo on the front. It's like a
Mm-hmm.
cool looking M logo. Anyways, let's move on to Volkswagen. I keep getting distracted because I just love cars so much. For
Yeah.
the people who know me, you know that I love cars, and I won't stop talking about them. So we're gonna take a look at Volkswagen. Volkswagen has the brands. Let me look at the brands of Volkswagen. Uh, no, Volkswagen also has um, uh, French cars and other cars that aren't sold in the United States, but they're sold mainly in just Europe. But we're going to focus on the ones that are sold in the United States. Uh, all right. Oh, they also own a bike company. There, it's crazy. The site is loading. I'm going to share it in just a minute. All right, here we go. Volkswagen Group. The group comprises 10 brands from 5 European countries: Volkswagen, Volkswagen Commercial Vehicles, Skoda, Seat, Cupra, Audi, Lamborghini, Bentley, Porsche, and Ducati. In addition, Volkswagen Group offers a wide range of further brands. I actually think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Bugatti was actually bought by different brands. Hang on. Like just recently.
It's possible. I know. Yeah, it would have been very recently. But I know it's well. I owned by Volkswagen anymore.
I thought I read something about how they were just bought by a different company. I may be wrong. I hope I am, because it doesn't say it on their website. Wikipedia is telling me that, but I don't really trust Wikipedia that much.
See, then you can like poke fun if Volkswagen still owns Bugatti, then you can poke fun that you just have a very fast Volkswagen Beetle.
Well, that's with the Porsche, like, you know, the 911s and the 718s and all that. They're also referred to as Beetles, quote unquote. But they're very fast because they're not your average. Because they're still rear
I
engine.
believe that the Porsche 966, I may be wrong, one of the Porsches has the engine from one of the Volkswagen camper vans.
No, well, they are part of they're all part of the same auto group, so that could be very possible. I know that the Lamborghini Urus, it's pronounced Urus. I double check that. But I don't like saying Urus. I like saying Urus. So I'm gonna refer to it as Urus because I hate saying Urus. Anyways, Lamborghini Urus. It shares the same engine as the Porsche Cayenne Turbo S or the Porsche Cayenne GT. But the Porsche Cayenne GT, I think, actually has it has less horsepower than the Lamborghini Urus, but it's faster than the Urus. So I think that's kind of funny. But the Porsche Cayenne GT, it's a coupe SUV, kind of like the X6, though it's a little more rounder sloped, kind of like the Tesla Model X, but sloped more and different. But they own that. It's a whole thing with that. They're same engines. They share a bunch of engines. I know the what was it that shared the same engine? The Audi R8 and the Audi R8 V10 and the Lamborghini Huracan and Gallardo share the same engine. The same V10, but I think the Audi R8 has less horsepower than the Huracan. But then you have the Audi R8 Plus, which has more horsepower than the Huracan. But then you have the Huracan Evo, which has more horsepower than the Audi R8 Plus. It's a whole mess. They're like trying to compete against each other, but they're the same people. It's like I don't know. It's like they're all turning on each other.
All right, so I found the Porsche that has the camper van engine, and I believe it is the 914.
I'm just wondering why they would put a camper van engine in a Porsche. That's just my question.
It was one of the front-engined Porsches.
Oh, okay. Well, Porsche makes electric cars too. They have the Porsche Taycan. That's about it. They have the Porsche Taycan. No, that is a really fast car, and it is supposed to compete with the Tesla Model S, right, which we saw earlier, which is the fastest production accelerating car, supposedly, according to Tesla. But their figures are wrong if they're tested in the real world. And the Audi RS e-tron GT, which shares the same platform as the Taycan. It's just Audi.
Yeah,
it's weird. I mean, the Audi, what is it? The Q5, yeah, the Audi Q5 and the Porsche Macan, which both SUVs share the same platform.
so within Volkswagen Group, it's like all these cars are like intertwined with another in some
Right, they're
way.
the same, but
It's
they're
like
not. But they're competing, but they're not the same.
just
It's
using
weird.
different.
The only way to put it is weird. I don't understand why they would do that to themselves. They're like competing against each other.
Yeah. I guess it if you have a pre-existing platform, then it's easier than to try and build a new platform.
Yeah, I guess so.
Because if you have a pre-existing platform that's already within your auto group, you just take that platform and you build a new car on that platform. instead of building a new platform and a new car.
Yeah. Well, that's going to be all the time we have for today. We kind of went a little bit past. By a little bit, I mean by like 7 minutes or 6 minutes past our 30-minute. It's okay, right? Um, past our 30-minute time here. But this has been the second special, I guess you can say that, second special of Cars, and it's been really fun talking about it. I really enjoy cars, and I know Isaac, you do too. Thanks again for coming on for this one.
Yep.
Hopefully, we may just have you on. You may just be a co-host for this. Just two guys talking about cars.
That'd be all right.
Yeah. From now on, it is the Debate Podcast special with Callan and Isaac on cars. That's what it's going to be called as. But the logo is going to be the Debate Podcast John Callan Morey, and it's going to have cars, but it's going to be like, you saw it already.
Yeah.
Because there's whatever. Anyways, it's going to be time to end this podcast. It has been fun talking about cars with you, Isaac, and I can't wait for the third one because we're going to be talking about the ugliest cars. I can't wait for that.
Our personal opinions.
Yeah,
not
personal
just
opinions.
like, hey, we've got one on the list. It's like we're gonna try and work to give our best opinions, collaborate a little bit on this list.
Yeah. Anyways, thank you, Isaac, for being on here, and peace out.